vampires. It's the Nighttime Show. With us always is our red-headed and starry-eyed producer, Matt Walker. Matt Walker is here. I, of course, am your host, Stephen Kramer Glickman, but our guest today, best known for his work in the film Colossus, of course, the show Rat Pack, the film Planet of the Apes. Rat Patrol. What did I say?
Rat Pack.
Oh, for God's sake. Let me do it again.
Absolutely unforgivable. Tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by Trump. I'm sorry.
No, that's so great. You also know him from Planet of the Apes.
Full of sound and fury,
who came
signifying
back.
nothing.
And, of course, my favorite film of all time, one of my favorite films. I've seen it more times than I can count. Titanic. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Braeden. We've got Eric Braeden today. Ooh. Oh, my God. The most eloquent man this side of the Mississippi. My God.
It's performing Shakespeare for us?
Performing Shakespeare. We're in his living room. His living room.
We've seen some amazing... We went to Paul Sorvino's house, and he sang opera to us while cooking us lunch. We come here, and Eric Braeden's doing Shakespeare for us. This is amazing what we get to do on this show.
This is outrageous.
This is your kind of profession.
Yes.
This is what we want.
Are you grateful every day you wake up?
Every day.
Wonderful.
You bet.
I'm very happy.
He's surprised every day he wakes up. I'm surprised every day he wakes up.
Again? I wake up, I go, again?
We are not sitting outside because we have those damn leaf blowers.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And I've always fantasized about the opening of a film where you line up all the gardeners on PCH on Sunset Boulevard all the way to downtown,
yes.
and you strap those leaf blowers to their asses. And then you said, gentlemen, start your engines, and they all go shh.
Flying off.
You got this beautiful home. We're sitting up here in this beautiful area, and we step outside, and it's just this
cacophony.
Cacophony of sound.
Yes, ear-deafening cacophony.
Yeah, and now that's got to be. Is that every day? Is that every day?
Well, that is. I got a number of people together about 5-6 years ago. We were 200. We went down to city council meetings, and we turned the damn thing on. And I said, why are you, ladies and gentlemen, discussing lofty issues? We have to listen to this cacophony. And I had one of the guys turn on one of those damn machines. Mm-hmm. And anyway, that's 2 years later, 1 or 2 years later, they outlawed leaf blowers in all of L.A., but there's no one to enforce the law.
Oh, man. It's a hell of a world we live in.
It is an extraordinary world. I mean, that is obviously the major problem.
Yes.
Right, yeah. It is probably the biggest of all problems.
I would say it's absolutely imperative that we solve that before we get to any other issues. Never mind tariffs, Chinese tariffs, or NAFTA, or
leaf blowers
IMF,
first.
or NATO, all meaningless, all secondary.
Yes.
Leaf blowers are the issue of the day.
That's fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna start by just talking about this real quick. I'm looking at this table. We have this table of little kitschy things and things that you have, but some of these things look like they're from something. They look like they're meaningful to you. They're interesting looking.
They're
things.
meaningful.
What am I looking at? There's a knife here.
Just a dagger.
A dagger. Where
is
this dagger from?
Ancient dagger, probably from Kyrgyzstan.
Okay.
Or Tajikistan. I'm not one of the stans.
Wow.
In case someone tries to burglarize my home. My wife provided these weapons for me.
Oh, wow.
Okay, we are well protected.
Where did you pick this up somewhere, or did she pick this up?
Are you kidding me or what?
Yeah, no. And then there's this bone. There's this bone.
The bone is from one of my forefathers.
Oh, okay.
Centuries ago.
Did you dig it up yourself?
Yes, exactly. I had it buried.
I just love it when you're in someone's home and you start looking around. You see, you start seeing little things. You're like for example, you have a candle mount to the wall. What is it? What would you call this?
That was from the tent of Attila the Hun.
Candelabra.
A candelabra attached to the wall.
He had one wooden post, and that's the candelabra was on that wooden post. It lit the interior of his tent.
It's a snake. It's like a cobra snake.
Yes.
That's cool.
That's That it's awesome. You just have a very cool.
Anyway,
place.
my wife is responsible for it all.
I love it. I love it.
She has an eclectic taste and a wonderful taste.
Where's your wife from?
From here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're from Germany originally.
I'm
right?
from Germany originally, exactly.
Now, Matt, do you...
Now, you were a soccer player in your youth?
I played soccer, and in my youth I was in track and field.
Oh, okay, track and field.
I won the German championship in javelin, discus, and shot put as a youth, as a 17-year-old.
That's amazing.
And then here with the Maccabees in 1973, we won the U.S. championship in soccer.
Oh
yeah,
my
because
gosh,
my father...
I was the token German.
my father used to
team.
love to watch the noon news on Channel 2, and he would always turn it on about 10 minutes early. And he would see you on the television screen. And I'd be over there, and he'd always tell me a story about how he knew you back when you were a soccer player named Hans Gudegast.
Yes, exactly.
Because my father was president of the Greater Los Angeles Soccer League in the 1960s.
No.
And he brought your team over from Germany back then a couple times.
No. I was, that's so interesting. I joined the Maccabees here.
Or it might have been here, yeah.
Yes, and let me tell you a little bit of LA history. I was a busboy in a restaurant called La Scala on Beverly Drive in Santa Monica, the old La Scala, owned by Jean Leon.
Wow.
A little Napoleonic fellow from the Pyrenees, Basque countries. Wonderful man. And he was a soccer aficionado. And Dan Tanner from Dan Tanner's was the head waiter. And they had a soccer team and sort of an eclectic group of professionals from Germany, from South America, from England, from etc. And I applied to play on that team.
Okay.
We paid $15 a game. And then I was offered the position of a busboy at the restaurant, close to the kitchen because I was always hungry. And I had little notion of who was who in Hollywood, but they were all there. And so from that team folded after they had invited Real Madrid to come over here to play in the Coliseum. And against us, we lost 9-0. And Real Madrid was the New York Yankees of soccer.
Sure.
And after that, a guy who carried the buckets for that team was Joe Schwartz, Hungarian Jewish fellow, and who said to me and another German, boys, do you want to come play for another team? And that team were the Maccabees. And so here I was, the token German, on a Jewish team.
I love it.
We had 7 Israeli players from Israel, from the Israeli First Division, and 2 from the Ethiopian national team, and 2 Brazilians, and great Mexican from the First Division, etc. So we won the U.S. Championship in 1973.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That's right.
That's
so during the week, I played Nazis on television in a series called The Rat Patrol.
Yeah.
Sure.
And on Sundays, I wore the Star of David.
Wow.
To the confusion of a lot of people. And there was one Croatian player. I played right fullback, and I was pretty ruthless. And he was on the ground. He says, you fucking Nazi, you fucking Jew. I said, make up your mind, you moron. Which is it?
Can't be both. You can't be both. You got to pick a side.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Now,
oh, my gosh.
When you came here to Los Angeles, was it to pursue acting? Is that what you knew you wanted to do, and that's why you came here?
Not really. No, there was always sort of a distant. I must say, the things that impressed me the most when I grew up, obviously, sports and sports heroes. And then I saw a play, a German dramatic play by Schiller. And later on I saw Hamlet. And then later on I saw Marlon Brando and Julius Caesar. We all had to go. They played it in the original language. And I was very impressed by that. And I worked later on with Brando in a film called Moritori, 1964-65. And so I was first at the University of Montana on a scholarship in track and field, and I stayed there for a year. But they only paid tuition. They didn't pay my living.
Oh, no room and board?
No, no room and board. So I had to earn a living from 6 to 2 in the morning in a lumber mill outside of Missoula, Montana.
Wow.
Where you pulled boards all night from 6 to 2 in the morning. And I thought, did I make the right decision coming here? So long story short, I was then offered, it gets too complicated, to go up and down the Salmon River in Idaho, the river of no return, And I was the first one with someone else to go up and down that river.
Why would they call it the River of No
Because no one had ever returned.
Really?
No. And we started in Lewiston and Clarkson on the Snake River.
Mm-hmm.
Had a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce. I was just 19. And they said, do you boys know what you're getting into? I said, I have no clue and don't care. Anything to get out of Montana at that time. And the upshot was, if we made this trip and made a documentary successfully, we would come to California. I said, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to look forward to, sunshine.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I heard wonderful things about California. Anyway, long story short, we made the documentary, and came here. And that's how I landed in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you start acting then?
I didn't know soul, started parking cars on La Cienega Boulevard. And I looked at some of the restaurants. I said, what are these kids scurrying up and down, driving all these beautiful cars? You know, customers would come in, they would open the door, and then they get in the car and they drive them. And I loved driving cars. At that time, I was all into cars. So I applied for a job. $1.25 an hour on La Cienega.
Oh, yeah.
And Rolls Royces, Ferraris, Maseratis. I said, this is fantastic. $1.25 an hour. And there was a guy, the head parking attendant, would stand at the door. If we got a tip for being very polite and very prompt, we had to give the tip to that head parking guy. We only got $1.25 an hour. I said, this sucks. This is no good.
Yeah, I'm just to be clear, I think today they've got up a whole $1. So it's
$2.25 an hour.
Yes.
$2.25.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then I worked for Beacon's Moving Furniture because they paid $6 or $7 an hour. And I was strong. And so I learned how to curse doing that job. I was with an old crotchety American guy. We were carrying up the refrigerator up a lady's apartment building in West LA, and I was holding on to the bottom of the fridge, and he held onto the top, and she was bitching. She says, don't touch this and don't touch that. And he said, lady, will you shut the fuck up? And I said, that sounds fascinating. That sounds great.
Wonderful customer service back then.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I love it. And I said, wait a minute. He's turning the verb to fuck into a noun. And I tried to translate it into German, but it didn't work. But I loved it, the sound of it. I love American curse words. I just love it.
Yeah.
So, and then I went back to parking and ran into the Kona agency. They needed a lot of Germans to play in a lot of series about the Second World War. And that's how that all started. My first film role was a film called Operation Eichmann. They had caught Adolf Eichmann in Argentina, and they made a film of it. And Werner Klemperer from Hogan's Heroes, who played Colonel Schultz, played Eichmann.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, wow.
And I played his assistant.
So was it a serious movie or was it a comedy?
Well, it was a badly done movie.
Okay.
A serious movie, but very badly done.
So it's funny, but not on
one
purpose.
of those B-exploitation movies. Horrible.
I got a fun little quick story for you. My mom, when she was a little kid, she was probably about 12 or 13, she went to the set of Hogan's Heroes. They were doing a tour, part of a tour, and they were, here in California, and they went to the set of Hogan's Heroes, and when the tour continued on, she stayed behind, and then she hid under a blanket so that she could watch her favorite show, Hogan's Heroes, being shot. And so she was hiding under a blanket, and they did, okay, let's do a little test run, and then the guy ran around, and he was getting shot at, and so they had, they were like, okay, we're going to have a smoke thing go off here, a little explosion here, a little explosion here. But they didn't actually do the explosions. Yeah. And then they were like, okay, now we're going to do it like, for real. Everyone be quiet and be ready and action. And then the guy ran through and all the explosions went off on the set. And my mom started screaming.
Oh, boy.
And they had to call cut and then found her like hiding in the wardrobe. And then they kicked her out.
And Sergeant Schultz said, I know nothing.
I know nothing.
I see nothing.
That's incredible. Did you do did you jump into TV at some point in the early years
then. Right then.
So what were you doing in TV?
I did with a Rap Patrol, and my first one was in combat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Of course.
And the very first one was a series called Gallant Men at Warner Brothers with Roland Lastaza. And that impressed me because he was a heavyweight boxer. And he had fought against Marciano.
Oh, wow.
And that impressed me.
Yeah.
Actors have never impressed me. None of that has impressed me.
Sure.
But athletes who have accomplished things on that level, that has always impressed me. So,
So is your favorite actor The Rock? Is that?
no,
No,
because
it's
that's
not.
all bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very true.
Anyway, but he's a good man.
Yes.
What are you talking about? You talking about who are you talking about?
The wrestler. Yeah.
No, he's a good man.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things about him. So,
Yeah, he's a very nice man, apparently. And
he's very big, so no matter what he says, he's a very nice man.
he's a big man. Anyway,
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
go on.
So, you're doing Rat Patrol, and you're doing these different shows.
Combat.
These are big shows. What do you feel like is the big break? What comes along that goes, oh man, now we're cooking.
I had done 2 or 3 Mission Impossibles. And in one, I played a Russian spy who quoted Shakespeare and kissed Barbara Bain for the first time.
Wow.
First guy to ever kiss Barbara Bain.
Oh, wow.
Mission Impossible. So a producer from Broadway, George Schaefer, saw that segment and flew out here and asked if I wanted to play the son of Kurt Jürgens, who was a big German actor who played An Enemy Below with Robert Mitchum. And this was about a Broadway play and to take place at the Eugene O'Neill Theater on 49th and Broadway with Geraldine Page. And if I wanted to play his son.
Sure.
And I said, yep. So they flew me out there and I read in the theater. And I always, when I had cold readings, if it didn't work the first time, I said, let's do it again. And I took over the reading. And that is essential very often. Because if you put yourself in the passive position of having to be dictated by whoever reads with you or producers or directors,
Sure.
you're fucked.
Yeah, you have no control.
You have no control. You need to take over a situation and control it.
Yeah, 100%.
And so an hour later they called and said, we would like you to do this Broadway play. But I'd opened at the Santa Monica Playhouse on 4th and Wilshire. I opened it with a guy called Ted Roeder and Norbert Meisel. And my first play was a one-act play by Tennessee Williams called The Lady of Larkspur Lotion. I played a drunk writer. And the moment I did, I loved it. And then I played The Prince of Wales in a play by Jean-Paul Sartre called Keane. And so those 2 plays made me decide that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actor.
Wow.
Hey, Matt, before we continue the show, we really have something big that we have to announce. I have to announce it right now.
Okay.
It's a big deal. 2020 is a very exciting year. It's a big year, buddy, because it's the 75th anniversary.
Of what?
75 years old.
Who's 75?
I'll tell you who's 75.
It's not William Shatner.
No.
It's not George Takei.
No?
It's not Leonard Nimoy.
It's Sennheiser.
Sennheiser. Oh.
Sennheiser, the microphone and audio company, the company that provides our amazing microphones and our incredible headphones that makes us sound so incredibly
Yeah, we
amazing.
just got a whole new setup. These MD42 microphones, the HD25 headphones. These things are awesome.
I love them. And these guys, they're the top. This is top tier microphones, top tier headphones. If you are looking for audio equipment, if you're a singer songwriter, if you're a voiceover actor, if you're trying to get into the podcast game, Sennheiser is the way to go. If you're an audio engineer, don't go anywhere else. Go straight to Sennheiser. If you have someone in your life that loves audio, this is the place to do it. Sennheiser's the way to go. Go to Sennheiser.com. That's Sennheiser.com. And all right, let's get back to the show.
Now, living in New York City during that time,
65.
What was New York like during that time?
Great city. It's a great city. It's an exciting city. Primarily when you do a play on Broadway.
Yeah.
You're invited everywhere, and I mean it's.
Where were you living at the time?
In a small hotel. I forget what the hotel was called. A small hole in the wall, you know. And
It's New York has changed so much, though, from that time till now. It's. I remember visiting New York City when I was about 16 years old, and like walking through Times Square, and there's just prostitutes in the street, and guys with briefcases full of fake watches, and the whole, and like that being like I remember Times Square being a very dirty and rough, grungy place, and now it's like
Tourist Central,
crystal clean. But I remember after the opening of that play, was arguably one of the scariest moments in my life, I would say.
Please.
When you open as an actor on Broadway, you may know, it is scary time.
Sure.
And I made the egregious mistake of opening the curtain a little bit and watching them as they came into the theater. Tennessee Williams. I think Mel Brooks and Anne Bancroft were there, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. Sure.
Kirk Douglas.
Amazing.
A number of people I recognized. Lee Strasberg. All those people were there. I said, holy shit. What am I doing here? I turned around and literally entertained the notion of opening the stage door and escaping to the night of New York. I said, no one here knows me. To hell with it.
Yeah.
I just disappear. An understudy will take over. I thought so.
Totally.
I ran up and down the stairs into my dressing room. And I asked the guy who shared the dressing room with me, do you have any brandy? A little bit. Yeah, son, I got some brandy. And I drank half a bottle of brandy. Didn't do a damn thing. Didn't make a dent.
Wow.
Because I was in soccer shape. Yeah. So I ran up and down the stairs. It didn't do anything.
Oh, my God.
So I again went to the stage door and thought, I'm going to escape. And then suddenly something came up in me, which is always in certain important moments in my life. I said, you will not intimidate me. I opened the curtain again. You will not intimidate me. I said, you will not intimidate me. And with that attitude, I went on stage.
Wow.
And Clarence Williams and he played on Mod Squad. We got the best reviews by Walter Carr and Stanley Kaufman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we went to, after opening night, there's a tradition where you go to Sardi's.
Of course.
Remember that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So you come in and then you're applauded, depending upon how well you did. And my wife and I went upstairs and I thought, my God, this is also fantastic. And then Geraldine Page, who was in the play, she played the female lead, came up to me and says, honey, those two ladies over there would love to talk to you. And there were two elderly ladies, and I went over and sat down. They were very charming. And they said very nice things about the performance, and I went back. And she said, do you know who they are? I said, no. That's Lillian Gish, and Vivica Lindfors.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's a piece of American theater and movie, tradition. Lillian Gish was one of the first stars, I think, in silent films.
That's outrageous.
Anyway, so I was then asked to stay on Broadway and do other plays, but I had signed a deal with the Rat Patrol. Yeah. And I went back here and continued playing soccer, obviously, and then went to Spain with the Rat Patrol in 1966 to the south of Spain.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about, if I can just take us back to stage fright for a second, it's a fascinating thing because people always kind of assume that you're good. No matter what, you're fine. You're like, you're an actor, you can be in front of an audience. That's part of the thing. And like a few years ago, I did, I had to work on an award show, and I went out to go present an award, and I went out with a female actress who's been in tons and tons and tons of things.
Yeah.
And her and I walked out on stage, and she was shaking like a leaf. And there were about 2,000, 3,000 people in the room. And I was fine. I felt like I was okay. Like I was a little nervous, but I noticed that she was nervous, and then I was like, I'm not gonna be nervous if she's nervous. Like I'll step up and be a rock for her. We'll be fine. And then we got out there, and they handed us our envelope, and it was the wrong award. They gave us the wrong envelope, and she looked like she was gonna pass out, and the whole room started laughing. and it turned into an opportunity where I, as a comedian, and Matt knows, as a comedian, that's when you shine. So I started saying stuff to the guy backstage, like, "What did you have them all just laying all over the floor back there? Come on, give me another one. What else you got?"
And this was right after? No, it was right before the Oscars mix-up with
it was right before the Oscars mix
with the
up
Steve
with the
Harvey
wrong
one.
envelope.
Yeah, the wrong envelope.
So this was like, people were freaking out, and it was a big award too. So they were really waiting, and then and then it finally happened. But I remember getting off stage, and this woman, when we got off stage, looked like she was going to pass out. Like she was so freaked out, and it kind of struck a chord with me because as like in my own stuff, there's been a few times where I've had.
Well, when you were on Broadway, you were kind of a wreck.
Horrible stage fright.
Yeah.
And especially because it was during the workshops of the show. So every time we would do a big performance, it would be for money investors.
He was Shrek in Shrek the Musical.
Right.
Yeah. So I work, and when I was working on it, there was. Like, there were days where you'd come in and they'd go, if this performance doesn't go well today, we're not going to get the extra $4 million that we need to put this together. $4 million on the line, and people were flying in from LA just to watch the workshops, and they'd give notes and fly home. And if I cracked or I sang the wrong note or some sort of thing, and if I sang the song and the producers didn't like it, sometimes they just throw it in the trash and make them write a new song, and then I'd feel like it was my fault. So the pressure was really, really building, and what ended up happening is the director and I went into like a little room on the side one day, and he was like, "Are you doing okay? You seem like you're a little freaked out."
Well, hello.
And I was like, "Yeah, this is terrifying." And he said, "There's a drug that a lot of the actors on Broadway take, and it's like a beta blocker, which stops you from being able to panic on stage."
Really?
And it like just it doesn't affect you very much. All it does is stop. If you have a panic attack, it'll stop the panic attack. And
that one, Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
Take a little.
Yeah, it comes. It works great in a bong. You can really
take a little hit.
Yeah, just take a little hit. You'll be totally fine. So I tried it. Because they were telling me.
Are you saying that there are PEDs on Broadway? Performance enhancing drugs.
Yes, there are performance enhancing
drugs. And you had the opposite.
I tried it.
Reaction.
No, I was okay. It was fine. But what I did notice is that it stopped making me. The joy that you get from like looking at yourself in the mirror and going, you can do this, like that adrenaline and using that on stage,
that goes away.
That also goes away. And so I stopped using it because I tried it for a couple days because I was like, maybe this will help. But then I was like, you know what?
No.
I'd rather feel the tension and the pressure than pretend like it doesn't exist.
Because then afterwards you feel you've overcome something.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why you got the reviews that you got is because you
pushed through.
And that's what's important.
The most embarrassing moment for me, arguably, in public life. Aretha Franklin was a big fan of my character on the show, big fan of the show, and she wanted to present with me during one of the Emmy Awards in Radio City Music Hall in New York. And we went out together to present something. And I wanted to say something very nice about Bill Bell, who was the originator of our show and who I owe a lot to. And you know how when you speak, they have these teleprompters in front of you. It's impertinent. I mean, that they still allow that at the Oscars is stunning to me. This was the Emmy Awards. Tell the producers to go to hell. What? If someone wants to speak, let them speak.
Yeah.
So it goes over half an hour. Who cares? So I said, and God bless, and it kept on saying Eric Braeden. Eric Braeden, right?
Just your
Let
own
us
name.
get off, right? Or finish. I said, and God bless Eric Braeden. I thought I wanted to sink through the boards of the theater. I mean, so utterly embarrassing. Wow. Never lived it down. Man, oh man.
That is phenomenal. That is really amazing.
Then the greatest relief I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
I did 14 Shakespearean monologues from 9 different plays here in L.A. on a place on Wilshire Boulevard in Santa Monica. And when you do that, when you study those 14 monologues and you rehearse them, you wake up at night, you go to the John, you sit, but there's no in the mind to suffer these things. Oh, no, wait a minute, that's okay. Now is the wind of our discontent made glorious summer by this. Oh, no. And you begin to confuse them.
Yeah, they
and
mix up almost.
You sit on the toilet and you think, oh my God. So if you had any difficulty,
Yeah.
you suddenly do. It flows. It just flows.
Right.
Anyway, so
No need for laxatives.
as
Just
the
Shakespeare.
night,
That's all you
as
got.
the night was coming closer, I literally, for the only time in my life, thought or felt what some people feel who go into a psychotic state, I think. I literally felt the walls closing in on me, literally, and sort of saw things in a tunnel vision. And then I sat in the dressing room, and, in the dressing room, when they came up, they said, another 30 minutes, Mr. Braeden, and then another 15 minutes, and then another 5 minutes. And you get that feeling of saying, I am fucked. And
Yeah.
then you get this sort of feeling of saying, well, what the hell? Who cares? If I die now, I die now. It's okay. So, and you come out and you do it. And then while you're doing this was Henry V, a monologue from Henry V. And in the middle of it, you say, oh, wait a minute. It's going okay. And then you panic again for a few seconds, and then it slowly takes hold. It was arguably one of the most exhausting things I've ever done, and scary things.
Of course.
I took the whole damn group, when I was finished, out to dinner, paid for it all, and then on the way home, I felt such utter relief. I loved L.A. I loved everything. Everything was just wonderful and beautiful.
Oh.
Now, when
Wait, hang on a second before you say anything, Matt. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us.
I'm telling you.
But just like what Matt and I have to do sometimes, because we put on these massive, giant shows here in LA with the casts of all these different shows. We bring everyone out, and we bring out rock stars on stage, make them perform in front of our little audience, and all sorts of crazy stuff. And I'll tell you what, the thing that always rings around in your head is, I did this to myself. Yes. Like, you put yourself in that show.
Exactly.
That's your show.
Exactly.
You put yourself in the situation, and you're like, why am I in this situation? This is of my own doing.
You did it.
And I'm like, there was a time I called Matt from the hospital. I was in the hospital having a full-blown panic attack, going, Matt, we need to cancel the show tonight. We can't do the show. We have Lisa Loeb is performing from she's going to sing her song Stay. Yeah. We have cast members from The Office coming on stage to do their show. We have cast members from this show and that show, and then a performance at the end, all these different people. And I was like, Matt, we can't do the show. I have to cancel myself off the show, because right now there is in downtown at the airport, the LAX airport.
There are protesters.
There are protesters at the airport because of the Muslim ban had happened, and I was like, no one's gonna want to come watch a show. No one's gonna want to see a comedy show, if there's this very sad thing that's happening where all these people are very upset. I feel like we shouldn't even do it, and I'll just stay here in the hospital. And he was like, Stephen, get your ass down here.
That's right.
It's going to be fine. And then we were fine.
It was great.
We were fine. But the relief that you feel on the way home, you're like, oh, thank
Isn't that the best?
thank God in heaven.
Well, yeah, it's like
absolutely.
It's like you mentioned.
I never sleep better than
Makes
after.
you a believer.
And you mentioned like having a moment in the middle of doing it where you realize that it's going well, and you sort of have that secondary panic attack. Because we both do stand up, and you recorded an album a week ago.
Yeah,
basically.
a week ago.
So we at the Ice House. We both performed, and that happens a lot in stand-up, where you're telling these jokes that you've written and you've done hundreds of times in front of the crowd, to the point where you can think about other things while you're saying these words.
That is so
and you
dangerous.
have that secondary moment where you're like,
Yes.
oh, okay, this is going well. They like that bit, and you can make those adjustments and stuff. And that's kind of a fun aspect of live performance, I think, that
But
we get to do.
it's interesting what you're saying. Isn't that also what I, as an actor, I feel when people say, "Oh, do you lose yourself on the role?" Never.
Yeah.
You always have that third eye watching yourself, don't you?
Yeah.
And when you do something, you say, "Okay, that went well. That was good. That's a good moment. And then when it's not so good, you also immediately say, "That was phony. That was not good." It's interesting, isn't it?
And
Like
it's
so-
weird. All I can focus on, like I've told Steven this, I've done stand-up for 16 years. In 16 years, I think I've been fully satisfied with my performance like 5 times. And it's not that I don't do a lot of shows that go well, but all I remember is that one moment where I'm like, I could have done that a little better, and that's all I focus on.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so
it's a
interesting.
It's a
So
tricky,
true.
thing. Now, I know that at some point in this career, you did some daytime stuff as well. A little, you had
little show.
a little show.
Little show that's been on for 40 years.
Done it for about 40 years now.
About 40 years, yeah.
Yeah,
little
you
show
know,
you did
just
for
a
like
little-
40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Now, there's a ton of dialogue on there, right?
Yeah.
You're doing 20 pages a day, probably.
I have done as many as 62 pages in one day.
What? Get out of here!
Because like
Are you
you're talking about,
serious?
because like you were talking about, hey, I had to memorize 14 monologues from Shakespeare, which is fine because those are things you have a long time to go, where they've been written for 500 years. But
Oh my God.
this, you probably got that 3 days ahead of time, 60
Well,
pages, or
yes, and now we all work differently. I go through it the day before, and if there's certain things that don't quite work the way I'd like to work, we change a few things, but generally speaking, you adhere to what was written. You need to, because we shoot with 3 to 4 cameras.
yeah,
And they don't have the time now to make adjustments yet.
yeah. There's like no second takes either, right?
No.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes second takes, but rarely. And we now should listen to this. A nighttime series does between 8 and 12 pages a day. Titanic about 2 pages a day.
Yeah.
And we do at least 100 pages a day.
Wow.
Oh my dear God!
Yeah, I'm serious.
What?
Yes. It's
Wow!
the fastest medium in the world.
Oh,
There's nothing like it. Acting on a film, so what? Big deal.
I once
Yeah.
spoke to a girl that I knew that was on Days of Our Lives, and I was like, look, I'm not physically built. I don't look like someone who would be on Days of Our Lives. But if there's a janitor that kills someone, let me know. I'll come in.
Right.
I'll be the janitor that killed a guy.
Or a Shrek.
Or Shrek. I'll play Shrek.
You'll go on as the world turns, as the world. Turn around.
That's right.
Hurtful yet true. Hurtful yet true. What is that? What's that got to be like, man? To be I mean, I don't know if you prefer a term like soap star, but to be a star in that sense, those fans are. I've been to a convention thing where it was like a soap star convention, and people are crying, and they travel from all over the world, and they have panic, they freak out when they meet you. Is that what's that experience like for you?
It is a very humbling experience.
It's like Comic-Con, but with women.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
And I must say, I always had to fight not becoming too cynical in this business. And I guest starred on over 100 shows and did films and all that. And I kept on being cynical about it. I said, what the hell am I doing this for? Because when you make films on nighttime television, you don't go out to meet the audience that you play to. You don't.
Right, of course.
So you become cynical. I said, what am I doing this shit for? And when I started doing a soap, I was asked to come to an appearance up in the biggest shopping mall in North America. Happens to be outside of Toronto at that time. And they drove you in to the back of the shopping mall where the garbage cans are. I said, well, there probably maybe 20, 25 people out there, waiting to see us.
Yeah.
And so we head into the manager's office and we sit down, and they already asked for autographs in there. I thought, this is weird. Why would they ask for autographs? And then they asked, are you ready? I said, yeah, let's go. well, are you really? I said, yes, please, let's go. What are you waiting for? Maybe 30, 50 people, maybe.
Yeah.
So we go through a tunnel. And in the tunnel, lined up on both sides, were a number of women grabbing, trying to grab. And then as we got closer to the opening into the big proscenium stage, I said, are you kidding me? Took my breath away. There were 15,000 people.
Oh, my God.
15,000 people.
Wow.
And in the middle was a glass elevator that was packed like sardines going up and down. 15,000 people.
15,000
And it literally almost took my breath away.
Oh, my God.
Took my breath away.
Oh.
And then in the front row were some poor souls in wheelchairs and all that. And, you know, one's heart goes out and you go up to them and shake hands and how are you? And as you did that, people from the back started pushing
rushing.
to come near to you.
Yeah.
And it's the only time that I was really panicked, I must say. And I said to the fire chief, I said, let's get out of here. He says, we can't. The exits are packed with people. I said, I don't give a shit. Let's go. Box, hit, anything to get through here. And we finally got out. And I called my wife that night. I said, I will never do this again. I don't want any part of this. So then the organizer said, we have to do it tomorrow again. I said, only if we get the local prison population as bodyguards, or all the cops, or a football team, whatever. Or you raise the stage. And they raised the stage. Made all the difference in the world. And that taught me what we do, what you do, what you do, what I do. We entertain people. That is the essence of what we do. And Marlon Brando, for example, was very unhappy about this business because Marlon never went out to meet people. So you sit at home, you think about this, and you say, what am I doing? This is ridiculous.
Right.
What is you want to do something politically or philosophically or socially important. And yet the most important thing of what we do is we entertain people. And that is what you learn on a soap more than in any other medium. I can go anywhere. I walk the streets of Paris.
Yeah.
And the normally arrogant French suddenly say, "Alors, oh mon Dieu, c'est Victor. Bonjour, ça va?" And it's just amazing. In Istanbul, veiled women, suddenly you see them blush under the veils when they see you on the streets.
Wow.
In Tel Aviv, on the Wailing Wall in Tel Aviv, standing there, and the cameras behind us, and this and that, and you know, obviously you're overcome. In Jerusalem, you're overcome with feeling of long history. And you just sort of almost get goosebumps when you're in Jerusalem. And I'm standing at the Wailing Wall, and you write something, and you put it into the wall, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I see all these guys nodding up and down, and suddenly, Victor, Victor. I said, are you kidding me? I'm standing here at the Wailing Wall.
Wow.
This juxtaposition is so absurd. And then afterwards we walked up the Via de la Rosa where Jesus supposedly walked with a cross on his back.
Sure.
They came out of the shops. Victor! Victor!
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, I'm dead serious.
That's
And
amazing.
then you realize how far-reaching this is. And how far-reaching soaps are. People want to be told stories. They love to be told stories. You know, in Israel, I mean, Shimon Peres, I had a meeting with him. I was invited to the Knesset, and it goes on and on. In Turkey, in Istanbul, the time the prime minister or president was Madame Chilla, and she invited us to her palace, and it goes on and on. You have no idea.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yes, it is.
That's amazing.
So
that makes me so happy.
this soap has given me peace about what I do.
Yeah.
Not only do I make money, but I entertain people. And how wonderful is that? I can go anywhere. Go to Harlem. People say, "Oh, you." I said, "No, the toughest characters. Look at you. Hey, man, Victor, you're cold as ice, man. Shit, Victor, come on, man." And it you know, Muhammad Ali was a big fan of the show. George Foreman was a big fan of the show.
Wow.
It's just wonderful. And that gives you Wind Beneath the Wings.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, before we continue this show, I got to talk about something that is it's crucial to our show. If it wasn't for this company, we wouldn't really have a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about Zoom. Okay, Zoom recorders, the Zoom Corporation, they provide us with one of the damn coolest things on the market. What are we recording our show
We're
on?
recording right now on a Zoom L8.
Oh, it's so awesome.
It's so cool.
It's so beautiful. We can do anything with this thing. Now, Zoom was established in Tokyo. It's based in Tokyo, and they have been equipping creators around the world, innovators in audio equipment. These guys just don't stop. Whether you're a classically trained pianist or a run-and-gun filmmaker, they have the item for you, the recorder for you. It will fit in your bag, and it will fit in your budget. And we've gotten to record our show all over the damn world.
Epcot Center, LA Convention Center, Ed Asner's house.
Oh, my God. So cool. So check out zoom-na.com. All right, let's get back to the show.
Now tell us about, you wrote a book about all of your experiences. So tell us, what do you talk about in this book?
I forget. No, but everything, obviously. I mean, it's from childhood to growing up during I was born in 1941, so in the middle of the war, and I just remember mostly bombs, you know. The town I was born in was 96% destroyed.
Wow.
And they threw 500,000 bombs over Kiel, K-I-E-L, alone, because it was they made U-boats there and warships. And those were my memories of that time.
Yes, so you're growing up in post-war Germany at that point.
Well, I was born during the war and then post-war Germany.
Yeah.
Right.
The book is called I'll Be Damned.
Right.
It came out back in 2017.
Right.
But it's a hot read, man. Definitely worth getting and checking out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So cool.
Yep. I actually did an audio version of it as well.
Oh, great.
I wanted to ask about that. You grew up in Germany,
Right.
but you speak great English. With no accent at all. When you first came to the U.S., did you have like a heavy German accent? Is that
I
part
had
of why you got those jobs in Rat Patrol? Or?
Never was burdened with a German accent. Never burdened with that. I had learned British English and was always very good at it. And had that more than anything.
Was that taught in school there?
Yeah.
In your youth? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had some Brits come over. And the guy who taught me English was a spy in England during the war. And had survived it and spoke very good English, obviously. And that's how I learned.
Wow.
Yeah, because you do have there's like a little bit of a British accent that kind of rings around in there, which is so cool.
Makes it sound very sophisticated.
Yes.
You know, but real quick before we continue, I went to the Wailing Wall when I was in Israel. And this is a quick thing. When I was a kid, my grandfather went, and he said to all the kids, write a little prayer, write a little something to God, and give it to me, and you fold it up, and then I'll just put them in the wall for you, because he was going to Israel. So then he went, and he put the note in. He was putting the notes on the wall, and he opened them up to read what they were saying. And you know, my cousins were like, "Please let my dog get better," or like, "Please let me get an A on my chemistry test," whatever it was. And then he opened mine up, and it said, "Dear God, why did the chicken cross the road?" From Stephen. So when I went back to Israel, I wrote a letter, and that's 100% true.
Right, to get to the other
I
side?
wrote to get to the other side. Look, I'm so sorry it took so long to finish the joke. The point is, and then I continued, wrote up my thing. But yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Does anyone pick these things out, do you think?
Yeah.
They must.
They
do?
do. I believe they take them out, and I'm almost positive there's a book that's published of all of the things that people have written in there. I think at some point or
Otherwise,
someone's done that.
the wall would fall apart with all those things in there.
Yes,
to keep
exactly.
stuck in. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now let's we should talk about one of the greatest movies ever made, Titanic.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I just rewatched Titanic probably less than a month ago.
Yeah.
It was on TV, and I was like, with commercials, by the way, with commercials, Titanic is like 5 hours long.
Yeah, with commercials.
Good
yeah.
God.
So I was like, yeah, I'll sit through, watch Titanic. It's been a long time. I haven't seen it in a long time. And that movie does this amazing thing where it pulls you in, and it gets you, thinking like it's a small story. We're doing a small story about two people, and it's simple, and this, and you forget you literally forget that you're watching Titanic while you're watching it because you become so interested in this
a beautiful
story,
love story.
beautiful love story, and then suddenly it's the most horrific, depressing, sad ending.
It's amazing in
oh
that
my God!
you
It's
made
brutal.
2 movies. They made 2 movies and stuck them together, where they make the small love story, and then they made the Towering Inferno on water and put that on at the end. So it's like you get your romance, and then you get a great disaster film.
No one's ever made anything like
which
that.
is fantastic.
Yeah, it is a phenomenal movie. How did you get cast? How did you end up getting in the film?
Well,
And how did that start?
Interesting story. I didn't want to do it. And my wife and my son said, there's a James Cameron film. You've got to do it, Dad.
Yeah.
And I said, but the part is worth nothing to talk about. John Jacob Astor. Anyway, I don't want to bore you with all the details.
No.
But I read
please.
about John Jacob Astor. I said, this is a fascinating character. And he's of German descent. He was the wealthiest man in America for a while.
Yeah.
And owned most of Manhattan. You know,
But
the Astors.
you only have a few lines of dialogue in the movie.
Right. So didn't want to do it, and terrible casting director. I remember just an arrogant bitch from New York, and she says, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm asking myself the same question right now." Goodbye, nice to see you, and I walked out. This was a little casting office of Warner Brothers. So I called the agency. I said, who the hell don't you ever send me to this nonsense again? Not interested, okay? 4 weeks later, would you please go again? James Cameron would love to. I said, okay. I went again. I said, she better be on time. 11 o'clock. I arrived an hour early, read about John Jacob Astor. I said, this is a fascinating character. And I walked into the casting office, and she was just as cold. And she said there were 4 or 5 lines they wanted me to say. I said, "What do you want me to say?" "We can stand or sit." I said, "Just a little video camera." And I said the line. She says, "Thank you." I said, "No. I said, keep rolling. Let me tell you about John Jacob Astor." So I just told her what I had read in the parking lot. Anyway, long story short, it was then fun because I had read about the character. It was a great character.
Sure.
And they said, okay, a week later or whatever, they would love you to play the part. And I sat on the tarmac in LAX on the way to San Diego. And that's what we filmed in Rosarito Beach, south of Tijuana. Yeah. And I read the script again. I said, what am I doing here? What is this? It's ridiculous. What am I doing here? So the plane didn't take off. Something was wrong somewhere along the line. And I asked the stewardess, I said, do you mind if I get off the plane? I said, I don't want to do this. And she says, no, unless it's an absolute emergency. I said, well, I guess it isn't. So, listen to this. We land in San Diego, and I thought, oh, man, I don't want to do this. I've been on so many sets for so many years. What am I doing this for? So I see a sign amongst various people at the gate. Titanic. Guy with long hair, well disheveled. So I go up, I said, are you? Yep. Are you? So I said, yep. All right. We get in the car. Drive from the San Diego airport towards the Tijuana border. And so he says, you looking forward to working with the biggest asshole in the business?
Oh, my God.
I said, I beg your pardon? He said, oh, man, that director is just a dictator in this. And I said, are you serious? Because I don't take kindly to directors who are like that. I just say, come here. Stop that shit with me, okay? I'm out of here. So I thought, oh, my God, this didn't augur well. So we drive through Tijuana, and on the way down to Rosarito Beach, and driving through Tijuana is like driving through an oozing sore. Do you ever say?
Yeah.
Dreadful.
Yeah.
How any country can have that, the first impression across the border, is beyond me.
Yeah.
It's a very
Are they out of their minds?
It's a rough town.
Please.
Yeah.
So, we drive down, go to Rosarito Beach, in a hotel, and I said, I've got to get out of here. So an assistant comes over and says, they would like you to meet the wardrobe department on the set.
Mm-hmm.
I said, when? Well, would you mind leaving now? I said, okay, let's go. We get to the set. True story. Wardrobe people come to me. The guy takes my measurements and all that. He says, so, good luck working with the biggest dick there is.
Wow.
I said, are you serious? Oh, man. No. I said, are you? So I was about to call my agency. Another assistant comes and says, Mr. Cameron would like to meet you. So I go to the set, and he couldn't have been more charming. He remembered Colossus, the film I did, the film project, couldn't have been more charming.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, I'd met a few disgruntled employees before.
Yeah.
So you can never trust anyone's, you need to experience it yourself.
Yep.
James Cameron couldn't have been more charming, couldn't have been more welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
Is a genius, as far as I'm concerned. I've never seen anyone, all the department heads, sound, camera, had such respect for him.
Mm-hmm.
They thought we learned from him every day. And so that is what made me stay. And the experience was obviously very worth my while.
Mm-hmm.
Then after I had died in the film, one of the scariest moments I have ever experienced in this business. And the assistant director came to me the night before. He says, James would love you to do this, but I said, what does it involve? What does it involve? He says, well, water will come from the sides, and then at a certain point when you turn, 150 tons will come through the top. I said, have you rehearsed it? He says, no. I said, all right, I'll do it if we dry run it 4 or 5 times before.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
So we did. And then we did the scene, and then slowly the water fills up. And all the camera people, 12 cameras, all the camera people had diving suits on and oxygen tanks. And I said, shit, man, this may be my comeuppance. So I'm supposed to turn, and then suddenly 150 tons of water come to the top. And it's all filling up. What they didn't reckon with is that some of the furniture would come loose, unmoored, and start floating. And so I said, what happens? I asked before, what happens when this comes in? And it says, well, there's a guy, you see him up there, he will dive in case something happens to you. I said, Anyway, we made it, and I was scared shitless, to be honest with you.
When the water crashed in,
Yeah.
what happened? What did you do?
You just are inundated, and then I barely escaped up the stairs, and
Do you think that fear that you felt in real life helped with that scene? Because your character would have been scared shitless at that moment, and I think maybe that sort of helped make that death more impactful.
Yes, I guess there's nothing worse than water and fire.
I really didn't think that you were actually. I mean, I remember that shot.
I was scared, to be honest.
I didn't realize that you were actually.
I just assumed there was like a
the
stunt
room.
guy at the point
honestly,
where he turned.
on the way up the stairs, this was just before Christmas, I said, this may be the last piece of daylight I'll see. Yeah.
Wow.
Literally.
Holy crap.
Literally. Wow. And Cameron couldn't have been more charming, couldn't have been more supportive. It was.
Oh my God.
So
that's mind blowing.
And the man he has balls of steel, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So do you.
Well, no, but during the filming, I remember, all the suits from Paramount on 20th would come down at lunchtime because they thought this was another Cleopatra. Cleopatra is what ruined 20th for a while.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they were worried that this movie was going to be the biggest bomb of all time.
Precisely.
I remember. Yeah.
So, what's the guy's name from Variety who interviewed me? Army Archer.
Yeah.
Would come down, he says, why are you the only one who keeps on saying this is going to be a success? I said, it's a very expensive soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I know how successful they are. He says, really? I said, yep. So, I finished. They weren't finished. I asked Cameron if I could bring my son and my wife down to the set after the Christmas vacation. And we did.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't have been more welcoming. And he stopped the scene. He says, "Come here." He brought me and my son and my wife into his trailer. And he showed us the first few opening scenes with Celine Dion singing.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And I got goosebumps. And I said to him, "You're going to make a fortune with this film." He says, "Man, I hope so." I said, "You're going to make a fortune."
Yeah.
I mean, boom.
Wow.
It's a thing that's amazing with James Cameron is people continually doubt his films, and they just outperform everyone's expectations like crazy. Like Titanic, people thought this is going to be the biggest bomb in the history of Hollywood.
Yes.
Avatar, this is going to be the biggest bomb in the history of Hollywood. And they just hit home with audiences, and they just last and last and last in the movie theaters. Like Titanic was in the movie theaters for 6 months. Like it was like I think I saw it in the summer. Like it came out at Christmas time. I think I saw it in July that year. Is when I went to finally see it in the theater. Like it was there continually, and it was a great film.
I had a great aunt who was supposed to be on the Titanic, and one of her axles on her wagon broke on the way, and she had tickets. She had tickets to go back in Europe. But oh, really?
On the original?
On the
original.
Whoa.
The original Titanic. Yeah, like when I watched that movie in theaters, I was probably about 16 years old, 17 years old, something like this. And it was the first time I'd seen a movie since Follow That Bird, the Sesame Street film, where I cried in the theater, where I actually got...
Slightly different.
It's a different film,
yes.
But that was a sad movie because Big Bird was kidnapped, all right? It was sad. I felt bad for Big Bird. And I was very, very little when I saw that.
Big Bird would have done well in the Titanic. His head stuck out of the water.
He would have been okay. But yeah, I remember seeing Titanic and being like a teenager and... actually crying in the theater and thinking like oh my, like I remember I got up and went to the bathroom and cried in the bathroom because I was like I had no idea how bad it was, and which is,
you felt bad for that poor iceberg. It got broken up.
But it's always a fascinating thing though when you make a movie that you don't always realize how impactful it's going to be and how long it's going to last for, and and it holds up 100%.
I knew Leo DiCaprio was a brilliant actor because in between scenes, when we stood together once, he would imitate Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando, but perfectly.
Really?
Absolutely to the T.
Wow.
And I thought, this boy is a good actor.
What was Winslet like? What was Kate?
Very nice, very charming.
Very
very charming. Kathy Bates was wonderful.
Oh, sure.
And very sweet. And otherwise, I learned how to avoid the turista by having a tequila in the morning before breakfast and one at night before dinner.
Yeah.
I never got the turista. So I still have a tequila here and there.
Oh,
understand?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, every day.
Keeps your gut healthy.
Yes, exactly. Keeps your gut healthy.
Yeah, good tequila. That's the best.
That's right.
I love it. Throughout the rest of your career, as you've continued, you have you're constantly working on stuff. Is there anything that you've been working on recently that you're a big fan of?
The most disappointing thing that I've experienced in my career was when I put together a film with George Kennedy and Sean Young and Ahmed Asante and Billy Zane, and a film called The Man Who Came Back. And it was about the second half of the 19th century during Reconstruction. And it had to deal with the first labor strike in the South, and where the railroad workers and plantation slaves who had now been freed got together. They wanted to be paid $1 a day instead of being paid in scrip.
Yeah.
Which each plantation paid their workers in scrip.
Which you could only spend there.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You can only spend in the company store. So that fascinated me. So we made a film. I got all these great people together. And when you're an independent producer and you go to distributors, they screw you.
Oh, yeah.
Period. End of story. That was so disheartening. Otherwise, I would have done more films. And have not approached that whole subject again. Love doing it more than anything I've ever done because I was sort of in control. And I loved the whole experience. George Kennedy, who played my father on Y&R.
Yeah.
and he was in it. What a gentleman.
Is that the work you're most proud of? That film?
I would say most proud of and the most fun I've ever had in this business. As an actor, to have some say in what goes on is so empowering and so wonderful. And you realize you know more about the business than you thought you did.
Yeah.
You know more about directing and all that than you thought you did, you know? And because you obviously pick things up by osmosis. And I loved it. I loved that whole process more than anything I've ever done in the business. Yeah.
Now, is there anything that you, because we do have to wrap up, but is there anything that you have not done in your career that you kind of would love to make happen?
I would have liked to have done what my son is doing now, writing and directing. I would have loved that. I think, I really do. But he's doing it.
He's kicking some ass.
You can do it vicariously through him now.
I do. I really do. He wrote and directed Den of Thieves.
Oh, yeah.
Wow,
And
amazing.
he's now preparing a sequel. He's going to film mostly in Europe, I think. But with Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson, who is Ice Cube's son.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
And so what else would I like to have done? I must say I'm very aware, very deeply steeped in history and the politics of today. And I must say that is one thing perhaps I would have liked to have done, you know. But then the more you read about the shenanigans going on in the political campaigns, for example, of both parties, it becomes rather disheartening in a sense.
Yeah.
But let me just finish saying this.
Of course.
As someone who was born in another country, who grew up in Germany after the war, and who grew up as a result of Hitler's madness.
Sure.
America has done more good in this world. It is responsible for creating a democratic Western Europe, and now Eastern Europe as well. It was responsible for beating the Nazis. The Americans and the Russians were responsible for defeating the Nazis. America was responsible for the Marshall Plan, which created a democratic Germany, a democratic Western Europe. What other country has ever done that with its conquered nation? No other country has ever done that.
Yeah.
So America was wise enough to do that. It was George Marshall who did that. It then created NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, to defend Western Europe from attacks by the Soviet Union, who had serious intentions of conquering Western Europe. It created the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, to avoid what happened during the Depression in 29-30. America created, or was the driving force behind the United Nations, the creation of the United Nations. America has done a hell of a lot of good in this world. And to now retreat from that number one position in the world of guaranteeing mostly democracy. Now, we have made some mistakes. Vietnam, perhaps, Iraq, obviously, mistakes, no question about it. But overall, America's leadership is so vitally important for peace in this world. For the first time in the history of man, we have had 75 years of peace amongst the main powers of this world. Why? Because of mutually assured destruction. Hence, the notion of reducing all nuclear weapons to nothing is wrong. We haven't had a war precisely because we know that we will destroy each other. So the end game is useless. Two things I have to say. Ronald Reagan, whose domestic policies I didn't necessarily agree with, he and Gorbachev are two of the most important men in the second half of the 20th century. Their willingness to talk about strategic arms limitations, to get together in Reykjavik and later on in Geneva, is the arch-capitalist, the arch-conservative, and the leader of the Soviet Union got together and got to know each other as human beings. That is what is vitally important. But for some people around this administration to suggest that we should withdraw and become isolationist is absolutely dreadfully wrong. we need, and the world wants America to lead. Despite all the copying and the criticism, the world wants America to lead and to continue to lead. That's all I'm going to say at the end of all this. This is a great country, and it's truly the beacon. And we are if people don't get along in America, black and white, for example, they won't get along anywhere in the world.
Sure.
This, in a sense, is the laboratory of the world. So I came here as an immigrant, always been welcomed, great hospitality. And your forefathers came from who knows where. This is a great, welcoming country. Let us remind ourselves what is good in our country. Let us remind ourselves of arguably the greatest confluence of intellect and practical thinking. Those were the founding fathers. That confluence of intellect and practical thinking is unlike anything, any time in the world before or since. So it's the Constitution that's the bedrock of this country, and let us abide by it and not misinterpret it, as we so often do with the Second Amendment.
Yeah. And what we should do is kick out all the Canadians like you. And
jeez. I was just having a conversation with someone this morning about being I'm a Canadian with a green card here in the U.S. I've been here almost my
most
whole
of your
life.
Yeah.
But my father, when we were kids, well, before we were kids, my father had told my mother that he was born in Florida. He had lied to my mother, and then they got married, and then he brought her to America with me and my sister, and then when my mom,
he told her that he owned orange plantation.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yeah, so he brought her out here, and then my mom has 2 degrees,
and he promised her oranges and sunshine.
Yes,
and she fell for him.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
My mom has 2 degrees. My father has 0 degrees, and my father wouldn't let her work because he was like, no wife of mine will work, right?
Yes.
And then I, at 10, 11 years old, I got cast in a Broadway, West Coast Broadway production of A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, the musical. And my father said only, I can't use the word on here, but only gay kids would be in something like that, right? And so he discouraged me completely from doing it because he said, you'd be gay if you were in a musical,
That's right.
So and then a couple of years later, they got divorced, and at the divorce, he admitted that he was also a Canadian and that we were illegal aliens the whole time, and that none of us could get jobs. Okay, and so
that's why he didn't want you in the theater because
because I couldn't.
No paperwork.
There was no paperwork. I didn't have any sort of social or anything to be able to do a job.
No orange plantation.
And that's why my mom couldn't do the thing. And then it took almost 11 years after that to be able to get green cards to actually work in the U.S. And during the wait, there was a time where I was about 15 years old, and I was sitting in the living room with my mom and my sister. My dad was long gone, and there was a pounding at the front door, and it was ICE at the front door. It was the guys from immigration, and they were like, "We have learned that there are illegal immigrants in this house, and we are here to arrest them and to take them." And And my mom and my sister starts crying, and my mom's like, "No, there isn't anything like that," and they're freaking out, and there's yelling at the front door, and then the guy goes, "There they are!" And then they pushed past us and tackled our gardener in the backyard. And dragged him out and threw him in a van and drove him away.
See, you're lucky you didn't.
That is, here's the little ending for this. His brother had been hiding in the tree in the yard, and so once they were gone, he jumped out of the tree, and then he had no place to go. So he stayed with us for a few months and lived in the house for a few months until he could find.
That was El Chapo.
That was El Chapo. That was El Chapo.
I was gonna say
that's San Diego. That was in San Diego.
I was saying you're lucky you didn't apologize for anything because then you would have said sorry and they'd
sorry!
be like, "Oh, he's a Canadian. He's not American. Get him out of here."
Sorry. Say tomorrow. We're gonna figure it out tomorrow. And then they're like Canadian.
Yeah, when you do Shakespeare, you're like tomorrow.
Tomorrow and tomorrow creeps. So your mother fell for your father. He had the Kavorka.
Yes.
Your father had the Kavorka.
Yes.
You remember that scene in Seinfeld?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Love that show.
Seinfeld is my favorite series. You know?
Greatest show of all
Oh,
time.
sure, yeah.
We watch that every night before going to bed.
Oh, it's
And
the
I love that
best.
whole thing about the kavorka.
It's the,
You got the kavorka.
That's when Kramer lured the
Yes.
Eastern Orthodox
Yes.
nun.
my
And Kramer
God.
then puts
Yeah.
a lot of garlic around
Yep.
his neck
oh, it is the
and
best.
bathes in vinegar. And Jerry comes
Yeah.
to the door and says, "What the hell is it?" Jerry, I've got the kavorka. I love that.
So funny.
I love that series more than anything else.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's my favorite. It's the
Yeah.
best. One time I did a musical theater show with Mr. Jason Alexander, and Jason Alexander wore a tuxedo, but he also wore a fanny pack. And after the show, me and Matt and a couple of our friends go, Jason Alexander, wow, it was so great to do this show with you. Wow, what a wonderful time. And by the way, the fanny pack is hilarious. And he goes, what's funny about it? It's where I keep my wallet and my phone. And we went, right, no, of course. Yeah. He was not wearing it for comedy's sake. He was very serious about the fanny pack.
You know Newman, the mailman.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Wayne Knight.
He guest starred on our show
What?
about a year ago.
Oh,
And I just love that character.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love all the characters in Seinfeld. I mean, they're just absolutely brilliant. And there was a scene where he knocks at my door. Of course, my name is Victor Newman on the show. And I said, "Hello, Newman."
This is amazing. Do you have any sort of social media? Do you do any of that social media stuff? Have a website? Anything like that?
Twitter and Facebook. And now I'm slowly learning, what is the other stuff called?
Instagram?
Instagram.
Yeah.
Slowly learning it. I mean,
How do people find you on there? What do they look for? Just Eric Braeden?
I don't know. Eric
I think if you
Braeden.
look up Eric Braeden on
Eric-
Twitter,
Yeah.
it's
Eric
you're
Braeden,
the one.
the real Eric Braeden, some bullshit. I don't know.
Well, we will send this out to your
But
to your
it's
people.
hilarious.
Thank you so much for having us
Thank
in
you.
your
Yes.
home and
Being
for this
here,
interview. It was
and
so cool.
You
Yeah.
unfortunately drank a lot of water, but it's okay. I forgive you. There's a water shortage.
Yes.
Area. You know that.
No, I'm in big
Oh
trouble.
yeah, big trouble.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Nighttime Show podcast and leave comments and things like this. And don't forget to share it. Eric, thank you again so much.
was
a
Mr.
pleasure,
Braeden,
both
it was
of
a
you.
true honor.
Yes.
Thank you
you.
very much, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Awesome.
Right on, brother.
Thanks, man.
Okay.